Welcome to the One Player Podcast, the show on solitaire board games. I'm your host, Albert, and this is episode 365.
Hey, Albert, I wanted to cook something special before the end of the year,
Oh, yeah?
but I ran out of time.
Oh, oh, that's a shame, Julius. That's a shame. Fortunately, we got a whole year to talk about games today.
A whole year? Albert, why are we talking about a year?
Well, that's because we hit a milestone. It's episode 365. 365 episodes, like an episode a day. If you want to listen to the podcast for just the whole year, it's a little late now, but you'd start, I guess, with episode 13 as of recording day, and listen to one episode each day. So we thought it'd be fun to talk about games that have something to do with a year in some way or another.
Some way or another. We'll see if we manage it.
Yeah, that was trickier than I thought it'd be. Honestly, I said, "Oh, this is gonna be super easy." I could think of a few already, and I think I forgot one of the ones I thought. But yeah, no, I've got a couple.
Oh,
I've got a few.
I had an issue.
Oh, okay. Well, I will let you go first if you like.
Sure, because I initially had thought of it, and I said, "Oh, we could just we'll have a different type of categories." Because I immediately thought of Tzolk'in the Mayan calendar, and I said, "Hey, you're making a calendar, and you're working your way through a calendar, and it's very calendar. That's very much related to the year." I said that would be a great idea for year-based ones, but Tzolk'in is not solo friendly, so I had to find something else that had calendars or something calendary, and I could find nothing calendary, not a one. I failed.
So yours is short.
I went back to my other standby idea, which is just a game that takes place over a year. And I thought of a couple or quite a number of games where the game itself takes place over a year. And my first one is Creature Comforts. In Creature Comforts, you are an anthropomorphic friendly creature who is making various different lovely pleasant things to outfit your home so that when it gets to winter you can tuck away with a nice book, some warm socks, an excellent bookshelf, candles, a mug of hot soup, all sorts of lovely winter things, and you have a whole year to prepare your way through the Creature Comforts. It is primarily a dice rolling and allocation game where one player rolls dice, and when you're playing multiplayer, everyone gets to use the same dice, and they have to arrange where it is that they want to use the dice to allocate those dice as workers around the board and get various different recipes or enhancements or interactions or ingredients, things like that. When you're playing solo, there's an AI or just a bot that will remove things and otherwise get in your way and moderately mess up with your plans, but mostly just trying to get the most points. And the idea is by the time that winter rolls around, after 3 seasons of preparation, when it gets to winter, you have an opportunity to nestle up with all of your cozy stuff and score the most amount of points. So therefore, it takes place over the course of a year, and that is my first game for the year, Creature Comforts.
That's okay. I didn't know anything about that one, but I just looked it up, and that's also by Kids Table Board Games, which is the folks we talked about last week.
Yeah, I've picked up quite a number of ones from them.
Okay, so you like them a lot. Well, and you got kids, so I guess that helps. Since they're target. Yeah. All right, so I like that one. I like how it looks, but I don't really know anything about it until now. I like the idea of it too. So my first one, I'm lucky I was able to find a lot of solo RPGs that fit this description. So I'm going to go ahead and start with one of those. A really not curious one, a really interesting one called Project Ecco, ECCO, in which you are a time traveler. And actually, this one is played with a planner, a yearly planner. So the idea is like you finish the year and now you've got this old planner. You could go ahead and use it again to play this game on, or maybe you could play it just get a planner and use it, but like that without ever having used it for real. But I think if you use it for real, it's more interesting because you're traveling through time. You start on a given date and you're going back and forth in time. And if there's notes on that calendar already for that date, then you kind of consider those as you're writing whatever's going on. Like if it says, "Oh, I went to the dentist this day," well, whatever you're writing about may be around while you're at the dentist. This is a game. I think the theme is a lot like Umbrella Academy. If you're familiar with that comic or TV show on Netflix, which is a time travel agency, and they go traveling and fixing things up, I guess. And it seems to be that sort of thing, but stuff is going haywire, and there's something trying to destroy time, and you want to stop it. It's pretty cool because you start with just a basic time traveling device, and as you're playing, you may unlock other ones that are basically different randomizers. I think you start with a D6 if I remember right, and then later on you may add and you also have a coin. You may add a few other devices. I don't remember what they are right now. Shoot, I wish I remembered. But they let you travel different ways through time. Like when you use the two dice, one of them is the number of months you travel, and the other is the number of days. So that kind of makes it a you may be on like August 1st, and you find out, oh, I gotta jump like 5 months and seven, or jump 5 months and 7 days. You could choose to jump back or forth, but you gotta fall within the time range. And you also can't revisit a date. Once you've been somewhere in time, you can't go back there again. So it's all about a single year and time travel. And it's a pretty neat game. So that was Project Ecco.
Okay. I'm normally pretty down on these solo RPG games. Because again, I just can't get into these kind of things. I've tried, but I gotta say, the hook of using a yearly planner to go through time and write down stuff and do things, that's a pretty cool hook. I gotta admit, that's neat.
Yeah, I do like that. I did think that was pretty cool. And you might lose days as you're playing too. Like it'll tell you, oh, remove this page entirely, or remove a date from the calendar, and that date is just gone, doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I get it. That's a good hook. I'd say that's even closer to actually using the year idea than my three, but let me at least
actually
continue
forgotten
trying.
about that. I'd actually forgotten about that one until just this morning. So I wasn't even gonna have it on my list. It's like, oh wait, that might be actually the best one.
It was a really good one. It was a good time. So the next one that I have that takes place over the course of a year is Cartographers. We may have mentioned Cartographers once or twice, but Cartographers is a roll and write or random and write game where you are writing down a map based on some random cards that come out that tell you what land types it is that you found. So you might have found some wheat or some woods or some rivers or some villages or even a monster, and you will write that on your board, and you then have to write that on your map, and you're trying to put them in shapes or try and fill areas or make diagonals or what have you based on the different scoring opportunities. There are 4 scoring opportunities in each game, and each season you will score 2 of them. So first you'll score A and B, then B and C, then C and D, then D and A. And so that is the summer, winter, spring, fall. Summer, spring, fall, winter, whichever way it goes. Obviously it doesn't go that way, but we'll get there in the end.
It doesn't matter.
But it follows the seasons ending with winter, and in winter it is the shortest amount of time because it's getting cold and it's snowy, and the season cards show that it's getting snowy, so that is a single card that shows that it's winter. Perhaps not as tightly tied as Creature Comforts, but it does take place over a year. It does take place over 4 seasons, and so that is my second option for a year-themed game, or a game that takes place over the course of a year, and that is Cartographers.
Okay, I like that. I've played it, but I don't remember too well. Can you theoretically mix up the seasons just if you wanted to, like do summer and then spring?
There's zero reason. I mean, no, you cannot, because the amount of time that each season lasts is set. And so like the last season goes faster than the earlier seasons. I mean, you can house rule and do random stuff if you want, but it will change the game.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't really work. I was just curious. All right. So
I've also seen
I like
some
that
very
one.
cool people who put different, because again, you can really put a lot of artistry in your maps.
Yeah.
Or you can just do basic shapes. So I've seen some people who, as part of their artistry, so during the summer, they'll put a very summery looking, village or river. And then during the winter, The village has snow on it, or the river is frozen over. So I've seen some of those online, and every time I see people with the really beautiful arts, I'm like, man, that's amazing. I wish I could do things like that.
Are they playing on a bigger map or something then?
No, they play on they play on the same
Wow.
teeny tiny boards that we play on, but the amount of detail that these people put on it is absolutely amazing. Here, I just quickly got one up right now that I'll link over to you so you can see it. So you can see the amount of detail these people put on them.
Okay. If I remember, I will put it in the show notes. Yeah, look at that. That's
At one point in time, they were doing contests for it, but yeah, this person, they've put like a little scarecrow and a little fox, and for the monsters, they have a little flag showing an image of the monsters, and the villages are highly detailed with different villages and
yeah.
smoke and
The
fire.
wheat
So this
fields
is an
look like
example
wheat
of the
fields.
one. Yeah, this is an example of one where it has that. I was trying to find one just before we went live, but I know I've seen it before because I know they've done contests to be the most artistry maps, and I've
Mm-hmm.
looked at them and they just look gorgeous. They're just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for that size. That's and in the middle there's a dragon sleeping. That's so cool. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes me want to play the game. It looks so pretty. Of course, it would never come out anywhere near that nice.
Yeah, mine don't come out that nice.
All right. Well, I think my second one's gonna be a little bit different, Julius. It actually takes place over multiple years, but each session is a year. The game is Hostage Negotiator Careers, which is an expansion for Hostage Negotiator. So Hostage Negotiator is a solitaire game by Van Ryder Games in which you are a hostage negotiator trying to release some hostages from an abductor. And as you play the game, it's a lot of dice rolling and playing cards to take actions each turn. And as you're playing the cards, you're then rolling dice to see if you succeed or fail. There's ways to mitigate the luck, and there's lots of different abductors you could play against and things like that. So careers is an expansion that lets you play it over a person's career, and basically each game you play is a single year in the person's career. So let's say a 5 or 10 year career, and each year you just happen to have one hostage negotiation to deal with. It's pretty neat because as you play, your character evolves a little bit. Stuff happens that may affect future games. Certain villains may potentially come back and that kind of stuff. And it's really thematic. Hostage Negotiator is a really fun game. I think I haven't played it recently, but it's really fun. It's the same base mechanic that was used for Final Grow. Final Grow's inspired a lot by that same designer, AJ Porfirio. But Hostage Negotiator really is a more simplified mechanic because it doesn't have a board to travel on. A lot of fun. I like it. I know it's not for everybody because a lot of people struggle with the randomness, but I think it's part of the game and part of the craziness that it develops into a story. Um, there we go. That's my second. I don't know if you consider that one a cheat or not, since there's multiple years in it, but it does use a year in the mechanic.
I absolutely do not, because it's distinctly using a year each time.
Mm-hmm.
Each time it's discussing it as if you're moving through a year. So I absolutely do not consider that a cheat for what it is that we're
Okay.
doing.
I was wondering about that, but yeah, I'm fine with it, whether you did or didn't. And that
I don't really care about your opinion, Julius.
I just want to hear about it. Yeah, I don't care. No, I had written down one game that said this does not, in my opinion, qualify. I want to write it down anyway as a point of reference. Conflict of Heroes: Awakening the Bear, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. It's set in a specific year, but the gameplay
No,
has nothing to do with a year's time frame. Right? You're playing
no.
individual battles that probably take a matter of hours or days at most. In 1941, it happened, and all the battles are in a specific area, so there's a year involved, but yeah, I didn't feel that was appropriate.
Yeah, the mere fact that it has a year in it, there's so many titles that just happen to
Oh yeah,
say a year number. Like
tons of war games. Yeah.
everything takes place in a year of at one point in time. It just doesn't. It's not that you're constantly mentioning it or coming back to a year or something like that. It has to. It has to somehow become part of the theme. Where if I were to ask you, "Hey, how long is this occurrence?" You'll say, "Oh, that was last year, and this is this year." You
Yep.
know?
Yep. I agree with you on that. But I
Yeah.
did want to point that out because I think that is not what we're talking about, either of us. Yep.
I mean, I actually had one that I rejected because I didn't feel it quite said a year, because Parks was the one I rejected.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, Parks, so it takes place over 4 seasons. And so at the end of 4 seasons, which is theoretically a year, at the end of 4 seasons, you'll then see who has the most points and score based on that. But the 4 seasons in Park are not spring, winter, summer, fall. It is, random. It's season of tide or season of storms or what have you. And
Yeah, okay.
it's not really tied to a year. It could have been that we went a season during this season and then we waited a year out for another season. So it's not a year, even though it's 4 seasons. So
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
include that.
There is no real sense of progressing through a calendar in that at all. The
Yeah.
time.
So instead, I went with Pandemic Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably familiar with Pandemic Legacy, but Pandemic is a classic game where you are a set of scientist doctors who are attempting to solve and cure for these 4 diseases. And they'll keep coming out with some cards, putting them out. We actually did a back to the table recently for this one, but cards coming out, causing diseases to spread through, and your job is to collect those diseases up, bottle them up for research results, research cures, and deploy those cures successfully to save the population. Pandemic Legacy was the first really good Legacy game, where as part of a Legacy game, you are making physical changes to the board, to the cards, you're putting stickers on cards, tearing up cards, opening up boxes with brand new ones, writing on stuff, a whole bunch of physical changes to the board. So it's very much you play through the whole campaign, the whole Legacy, and then for the most part, it's done, or it's just a completely changed board and you stick with it depending upon the Legacy game. But for that one, it's done, it's over, it's finished. With Pandemic Legacy, it's very much you're playing over a year. You had a calendar that you marked down how well you did in January, February, March, going onwards. You had 2 chances for every month to go through it. Some of the story tied into various things as you approached the winter. Minor spoilers. As you approach the winter, the story made mention of the fact that you're approaching the winter, about increased heightened disease rates. So it mentioned it some in the story. You saw very much that it took place over the course of the year. If I were to ask someone, hey, how long did Pandemic Legacy take place? They'd say it was a year. And I think that would qualify for our reference to a year. And so therefore I will put for my third opportunity, Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that taking place over a year, but that is a good one. You play at least 12 games because it's 12 months, but if you lose, you redo a month. You just play it again and again until you actually win and can advance the story. So even if even if it takes you 2 years to play, you still only played 1 year in the end.
Yep.
That's neat. I haven't played the first or third ones. I only played season 2, and I like that one.
Interesting. Wonder why not.
Yeah, because I found it on clearance or something like that at the Barnes and Noble. So I said, "Oh, pick it up."
Oh, well, you should.
Mm-hmm.
They're also very good. So what's your third, Albert?
My third game, I kind of want to go
Albert,
with
you're
an
taking
RPG.
like a year to tell us here.
Sorry. Oh, okay. For that, forget you. Then I'm gonna pick a board game. Maybe I'll mess you up. It's an Uwe Rosenberg game. It's Fields of Arle, which takes place over multiple years. If I remember right, it was a 5.5-year game, but it does have a sense of the years in it because each you play a number of rounds. I didn't get a chance to look it up, and the first round is summer, the second one is winter, then summer, then winter, and each time you play, depending what season you're on, you're taking different actions. So there's definitely a sense of time is progressing in this game as you're playing, doing the summer things or the winter things. In the summer, you're doing a lot of stuff outside, working on your fields and whatnot. In the winter, you're doing more indoor activities, getting maintenance and stuff you could do or stuff that you could do in the cold weather anyway, or versus things you can't do in the cold weather, like planting. It's a worker placement game. It is it's a neat game. I ended up getting rid of it because it was big and it was complicated, and I decided I'd rather keep Fields of Arle. but I really liked it. Actually, I meant Newsfjord. So many actions to choose from. I think there's like 10 or 12 different actions in the summer phases and 10 or 12 in the winter phases. And they're all different for the most part. I think there's a little tiny bit of overlap, but they're all different. So a lot of variety in what you could do in this game in terms of worker placement. A lot of different paths you could choose to take for scoring your points and getting your stuff done. And yeah, it's just a nice game with a lot of choices for engine building and a calendar of sorts in it.
Well, I won't critique trying to apply the year to it because I wasn't very happy with my pandemic one. So yeah, it has seasons going by. You'll certainly notice that time is going through. I don't think it's a year, so I wouldn't have picked it, but I guess I can't critique too hard.
But then again, Hostage Negotiator was not a year either. That's multiple years too. But still,
it was years. It was a year each round. Each round was a year. This was I don't know.
Each game was a year because it's not a legacy game, but it was a campaign game, and each game is 1 year in the Hostage Negotiator. But yeah, this one, I forget how many years it is. Let me look it up. I'm gonna look at the board because I am curious. Where is a picture of the board here? There it is. 1, 2. So you play over 4 years, actually. Summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter. All right, Julius. What is your next one?
Oh, that's 3. I don't have any more, honestly.
Oh, that's it. That's right, because you went first. Okay. Well, I'll mention a couple honorable mentions.
I might have done one that I couldn't do, but I felt like I was scraping this time.
Oh, okay. I'll mention a couple that I didn't talk about. 2 of them are RPGs. One of them is called The Quiet Year. I played it a while ago. I didn't research it again because it wasn't going to be one of the top ones I talked about. But it's actually a drawing RPG in which each round you draw a card from a deck of cards. 52 cards in a deck, 52 weeks in a year, right? Each card is a week, and it tells you what happens that week, and then you will draw it on your map. And as you play, you may change your map, and things that you had built may get destroyed. New people show up on the map that you may have to deal with or fight. And so you're playing and changing your map. You could also journal as you're going along, but really the point of it was the map drawing. Neat little game, 1 year. The other RPG is called Fox Curiel's Floating Bookshop. I only just got that the other day in the mail. Really neat looking game. I really am excited to try it. It's a year on the river. You own a floating bookshop. You're some anthropomorphic little animal that has this bookshop that goes back and forth across the river buying or selling books. And it takes place over a year, and there's different seasons. The seasons have names. Different events happen throughout the seasons. The weather's different, festivals, all sorts of stuff. So it really does tie the year and the passage of time into that game. Can't wait to try it. And my third honorable mention was Legacy of You, which had time in it, but it felt like a stretch. I think each round is a year or something, but it never felt like a year. So those are my others that I had as backups.
Nice run through, but Albert, the real question is, what did they give the guy who shoplifted a calendar?
A year?
12 months.
12 months. Oh, okay. Thank you, Julius. And I think with that, it's a wrap.
It's been an age.
It's been an age.
Have a good night, all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We love feedback, so we love hearing from you. You can reach me at julius@oneplayerpodcast.com or JLBird on BGG, and Albert can be reached at albert@oneplayerpodcast.com or Fractalute on BGG. Our website is oneplayerpodcast.com with the number 1, and we're also on Twitter at oneplayerpodcast. The intro music is copyright Angus, can be found at jamendo.com. The transition music is copyright by Dan Elduce Pancaldi, whose page is at donpancaldi.com. The One Player Podcast is protected under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Thanks for listening.